It is currently early September 2025, so this report is for August of that year. August was a long, hot, dry month in which there was only one significant rainfall, which had hardly any effect on soil moisture whatsoever. It had the temporary effect of cooling temperatures slightly, but the temperatures generally have been quite high, frequently above 35 degrees Celsius. The first picture here is of the deck. On the left-hand side is a mandarin orange, which I was hoping was going to flower but never did. In the background we have some rosemary. The rosemary needed a lot of watering to keep it alive. The hot temperatures might have had some effect on my failure to root cuttings from the rosemary. Of about 12 that I started, only 2 produced roots, and I think maybe because the soil in the pots got just too darn hot. Hiding in amongst the ferns there, enjoying a bit of shade, is a couple of ginkgos. In the greenhouse structure, quite a lot of interesting problems. Weeds have got away on me in this area, but that's to be expected given the heat and the dry. The large fruited tomatoes did not do well, suffered a great deal from blossom and rot, and also from hornworms. Quite a bit of hornworm damage, partly because I could hardly find any of them. They were so cleverly concealed in the foliage. But then the amount of damage they did was not that great. Fruit set was really poor as well, and probably because of the heat. I think the structure could have done with shade material rather than any kind of plastic. One good thing, the crop of beets that I planted in containers did really well. So that is one small win for the greenhouse structure. This is what the potato patch looks like after all the potatoes have been extracted from the ground. I have dug those lines over about 3 times, and I bet there are still about a dozen potato tubers in the ground which did not reveal themselves when I dug them as carefully as I could. The dry soil has been helpful in that the soil falls off of the tubers quite well, so you can detect the roundness of tubers and also quite frequently the colour, because the skins are left visible as you turn over the soil with the spade. Total crop this year was about 150 pounds. I have got good seed for next year. However, none of the tubers was large, probably because the lack of moisture has meant, I think, that there won't be any hollow heart. Another good thing is that there was hardly any white grub damage. Usually there's a fair bit of white grub damage, and also I don't detect any vole or mouse damage on the tubers either, so maybe the tubers were a bit deeper this year. A quick note on the elderberries. Quite a good show of elderberries. The bushes have continued their migration down to lower levels. I planted them a bit further up the slope, many years ago, but over time they have moved down towards the black locust in the background. Quite a bit of damage from raccoons and birds, but they're entitled to their share. I don't begrudge them that. They also help to clean out the plantation. There are occasional volunteers from the black locust in the elderberry patch, but I soon take care of those thanks to the little pathways left by the raccoons. This is the current state of squash plantation. The squashes look as if they're going to die at the end of the day after baking sunshine, but then they seem to recover quite well overnight. The leaves become turgid again, and so they soldier on in a remarkable fashion. Quite a bit of the leaves on the interior, the leaves that were developed, they have died off. And I would say that there are about 20 to 30 butternut squash here, probably weighing about 60 pounds, something like that. On the left side, there is a line of peppers. That the peppers behaved in a very mixed fashion. The cayennes seem to have produced flowers and fruits to a certain extent, not as much as they would have in a normal year, but the California Wonders produced no fruits at all, none. I didn't even see any in any flowers, none. So that was a complete loss, mainly because of the heat, I think. Excuse me. I did not water the squashes at all. So I learned that they can survive even though it looks as though they're going to die. Another interesting survival story is the Brussels sprouts. These were planted about 6 weeks ago. They managed to survive the baking heat, but they didn't grow very much. There was a little bit of damage from birds and maybe animals as well. There are a dozen plants here. All the dozen plants have survived, and I have watered them infrequently to make sure that they did not croak completely, but they were watered in really carefully at the time they were planted. So I think that's why they managed to survive. I'm hoping they will continue to do well. I will keep an eye on them. The gladiolus started out doing fairly well because they were planted in reasonably moist soil. I haven't watered them at all. What they have done is they have produced leaves, but very few of them have produced flowers at the end of the planting. So I guess I should be watering those carefully to make sure that they do produce flowers. The flowers that have appeared have contained 2 to 3 florets, where the stalk would normally contain 6, 7, or even 8 florets. So I think it pays to water the glads. At least I will have corms for next year. A pretty miserable showing of the bush beans. Did not do well at all. Needed water, I think. Also, I need to be much more selective in my sorting out of the seed that I intend to use for planting, which I think I mentioned in a previous report. The pole beans have done equally badly. They should still be in a normal year, they would still be vibrant green and producing end of season bean pods, but they became exhausted, I think, through lack of water. Well, I will still have beans for next year, so I'm not concerned about seed. This is what the squash fruits look like in the middle of a really hot, dry day. The young leaves are looking pretty good. They will become deflated at the end of the day, but then recover overnight. Fruits are looking good, proper shape, proper colour, maturing nicely. And of course, there's always the perennial crop of stones, which appear as you're digging for potatoes. The stones keep coming. They just seem to keep coming up from the ground, so whatever seed they're using to grow is pretty good and reliable. I boiled the stones pretty hard, but they didn't get any softer. I'm wondering if boiling stones actually produces a stock which contains minerals, which would be good for the digestion. Thanks for watching.